Captain Marcus Webb stood on the bridge of the UES Pathfinder, watching the swirling nebula clouds paint streaks of violet and crimson across the view screen. 20 years in the fleet, and the sight still took his breath away. Sensor sweep complete, Captain. Lieutenant Yuki Tanaka reported from her station. No anomalies detected. Gravitational readings nominal. We're clear to proceed to checkpoint Delta. Marcus nodded, but something gnawed at the back of his mind. 7 expeditions, 7 routes through this sector. 6 had made it halfway before communication ceased. The 7th, Expedition 6, led by his former Academy roommate David Chun, had vanished just 3 weeks ago. How long until we reached the coordinates where Expedition 6 went dark? Marcus asked. 47 hours at current speed, sir. Marcus walked to the communication station. Ensign Rodriguez, I want continuous transmission back to Earth. Every 15 minutes. Automated status update. If we go more than 20 minutes without sending a signal, Earth needs to know immediately. Aye, Captain. Implementing now. The bridge fell into a comfortable rhythm. The hum of instruments, the soft beeping of scanners, the quiet murmur of crew members coordinating their tasks. 2,000 souls aboard the Pathfinder and her escort vessels. 2,000 people who trusted him to bring them home. Marcus returned to his command chair, his eyes fixed on the nebula ahead. Beautiful, mysterious. And somewhere in there, 7 expeditions had simply ceased to exist. Captain? Yuki's voice held a tremor he'd never heard before. I'm picking up something strange. Define strange, Lieutenant. I don't know how to describe it, sir. The sensors are reading normal space ahead of us, but there's something underneath, like an echo but in reverse, as if space itself is remembering something that hasn't happened yet. Marcus felt ice crawl up his spine. All stop. Battle stations. Alarms blared throughout the ship as crew rushed to their positions. The escort vessels, vigilant and resolute, matched their deceleration, forming a defensive triangle formation. Get me a direct line to Admiral Zhao at Fleet Command, Marcus ordered. Priority Alpha. Sir, I'm trying, but there's interference. The view screen flickered. Then again, the nebula outside seemed to pulse, colors shifting from violet to a deep, impossible black that hurt to look at. Captain, gravitational readings just spiked by 3,000%. No, 5,000. Sir, it's off the scale. Emergency jump. Get us out of here now. Jump drive isn't responding. Something's blocking. The universe twisted. Marcus felt his stomach lurch as reality bent around them like paper folding in on itself. Screams erupted across the bridge as crew members clutched their heads. The lights flickered once, twice, and then everything stopped. Not silence. Stopping. As if time itself had taken a breath and forgotten to exhale. Marcus tried to move, to speak, to think, but his thoughts moved like honey, slow and thick. He could see Yuki at her station, her mouth open in a scream that produced no sound. Rodriguez's hands frozen over her console. The nebula outside no longer swirled. It hung motionless, like a painting. Then, from nowhere and everywhere at once, a voice, not heard through ears, but felt through bones, through neurons, through the very atoms of his being. Insufficient. The word carried weight that crushed Marcus to his chair. Judgment. Measurement. Dismissal. Not yet. Not this one. A presence, vast, ancient, and utterly alien, brushed against his mind like a moon passing over an ant. It studied them, categorized them, and found them wanting. Return when worthy. The universe snapped back like a rubber band released. Sound crashed over the bridge in a wave of klaxons and shouts. Marcus gasped, sucking air into lungs that had forgotten how to breathe. Status report, he managed to croak. All systems green. Yuki stared at her console in disbelief. Sir, according to sensors, nothing happened. No gravitational anomaly. No time dilation. No. I felt it, Rodriguez interrupted, her voice shaking. We all felt it. Something was here. Marcus looked at his crew. Every face showed the same confusion, the same primal fear of encountering something beyond comprehension. Rodriguez, did our automated transmission to Earth continue? Checking. Yes, sir. No interruption in our signal. As far as Earth knows, we're proceeding normally. But we're not, are we? Marcus stood on unsteady legs. Whatever just happened, that's what got the others. I'm certain of it. Should we turn back, Captain? Yuki asked quietly. Marcus thought of David. Of the 6,000 people across 7 expeditions who had vanished without a trace, of the families waiting for answers that never came. No, he said finally. We came here to find the truth. We keep going. But from now on, we assume hostile contact is imminent. Rodriguez, triple our transmission frequency. I want Earth to have a record of every second from here on out. The Pathfinder and her escorts pushed deeper into the Theta Serpentis sector, unaware that their transmissions were already degrading. Each message reaching Earth slightly more garbled than the last, until 72 hours later, they would send their final automated update. All systems normal. Proceeding to Checkpoint Delta. And then, like 7 expeditions before them, Expedition 7 would vanish completely. Earth, Geneva Headquarters United Earth Space Command, present day. Admiral Elizabeth Zhao watched the final transmission from Expedition 7 for the 100th time. Captain Webb's face filled the screen, confident and determined. This is Captain Marcus Webb of the UES Pathfinder. Day 37 of Expedition 7. All systems nominal. We are approaching the coordinates where Expedition 6 went dark. Whatever happened to them, we're ready. We will find answers. Webb out. The screen went black. That had been 6 weeks ago. Play again, demanded Ambassador Elena Voss, standing behind Zhao's chair. Elena, watching it again won't change anything. Then show me the sensor data. Show me debris patterns. Show me something. Elena's composure cracked, her diplomat's mask slipping to reveal the raw anguish beneath. 8,000 people, Elizabeth. 8,000. And now 2,000 more with Marcus. 8 expeditions. 8. How do we lose 8 expeditions without a single piece of evidence? Zhao turned to face the ambassador. Elena Voss had aged 10 years in the past 6 months. Her husband had been chief engineer on Expedition 3. She'd volunteered to address the Galactic Council personally to beg for their help. The council meets in 2 days. Zhao said quietly. They finally agreed to hear us. Elena laughed bitterly. Hear us? They'll patronize us again. We're the young species. Remember? The naive children playing with technology we barely understand. They'll tell us it's dangerous out there, that we should have listened to their warnings, that this is the price of our arrogance. Maybe, but you're still the best chance we have of making them listen. Elena stared at the blank screen where Marcus Webb's face had been. I'm not going to beg anymore. Elizabeth, I'm done begging. If they won't help us. She turned, and Zhao saw something new in her eyes. Not grief, not desperation. Determination. If they won't help us, Elena continued, then they need to get out of our way. Because with or without them, we're going to find our people. And God, help whatever took them when we do. Zhao felt a chill run down her spine. In that moment, she didn't see a grieving wife or a desperate diplomat. She saw the face of humanity itself. Pushed too far, dismissed too often, and finally, catastrophically, done with asking permission. The Galactic Council had no idea what was coming. The Chamber of Ages Galactic Council Nexus Orbital Station above Concordia Prime. 2 days later, Ambassador Elena Voss had seen the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council only in recordings. Nothing had prepared her for the reality. The chamber was a cathedral of light and stone that defied conventional physics. Its walls curved upward into impossible angles, meeting at a point that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Floating platforms of crystallized starlight held the representatives of 73 civilizations, species that had mastered faster-than-light travel when humanity's ancestors were still learning to control fire. At the chamber's center, suspended in a column of shimmering energy, sat the triumvirate, the 3 eldest races who had founded the Council 12 million years ago. The Architect, a being of pure geometric thought patterns, visible only as shifting mathematical equations that hurt human eyes to perceive directly. The Gardener, a vast fungal intelligence that had cultivated life across 10,000 worlds, its mycelial network spanning parsecs. represented here by a flowering node of bioluminescent tendrils. The Witness, an entity that existed partially outside normal space-time, appearing as a figure made of crystallized memories and probability shadows. What might have been, could have been, in countless parallel timelines. Elena felt infinitesimally small. Her human delegation, herself, Admiral Jiao, and Dr. James Morrison, Earth's leading xenobiologist, stood on the lowest platform, the one reserved for petitioners and species without full council membership. The probationary platform officially. The beggar's perch, as the older races called it. The architect equations rippled, and a voice emerged, not spoken, but understood, translated directly into her consciousness by the chamber's ancient systems. The species Homo sapiens petitions this council for aid. Speak, young ones, and know that your words are measured. Elena stepped forward. She'd rehearsed this speech for 2 days straight, refining every word, every emphasis. Now, standing in this impossible room before beings older than her species' entire evolutionary history, the prepared words felt hollow, so she abandoned them. 8 expeditions, she said simply. 8 expeditions into the Theta Serpentis sector. 8,000 human lives vanished. No wreckage, no signals, no trace. We came to you 6 months ago after the first 3 disappeared. You told us to be patient, that space is vast and dangerous. We listened. We waited. We lost 5 more expeditions. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. Not sounds, but fluctuations in the chamber's energy field. Amusement. Condescension. Pity. A crystalline voice rang out from one of the higher platforms. The Terran Dominion, a species that had achieved interstellar travel for 1 million years before Earth's sun had finished forming. And what would you have us do, Ambassador? Send our own ships to search for yours? Theta Serpentis is known to us. It is a region of complexity. Many young species lose vessels there as they learn the realities of deep space. Lose vessels? Elena's voice cracked. These aren't vessels. They're people. Mothers, fathers, children. They're casualties of inexperience, interrupted a booming voice from the mid-tier platforms. The vast collective, massive beings of living stone who measure their lifespans in geological epochs. Your species has been space-capable for barely a century. You rush forward with the impetuousness of youth, ignoring the wisdom we offer freely. This is natural selection on a cosmic scale. Elena felt Admiral Jiao tense beside her, but she raised a hand. Stay calm. Stay diplomatic. We're not asking you to search for us, Elena said, forcing her voice to remain steady. We're asking for information. Your civilizations have mapped the galaxy for millions of years. You must have data on Theta Serpentis. Energy signatures, spatial anomalies, anything that might help us understand what we're facing. The gardener's tendrils pulsed with soft colors. When it spoke, its voice carried the rustling of forests, the patience of eons. Child species, we understand your grief. Loss is the one constant across all forms of life, all configurations of consciousness. But some knowledge must be earned, not given. Some lessons must be learned through experience, not instruction. Lessons. Dr. Morrison spoke for the first time, his academic composure shattering. You're calling the deaths of 8,000 people a lesson? Not deaths, corrected the architect. It's equations flowing with what might have been the mathematical equivalent of sympathy. Disappearances. You assume mortality, but you know nothing. This assumption itself reveals your unreadiness. Elena felt something inside her break. Not despair, but the final tether holding back her anger. Unready, she repeated slowly. You know what? You're right. We're young. We're inexperienced. We've been in space for less than a blink of your eye. But we came to you in good faith as members of this council. Probationary members. Yes, but members. And we asked for help. Not weapons, not technology. Just information that might save lives. She took a step forward, violating protocol by leaving her designated position. And instead, you've given us platitudes. Philosophy. Condescension wrapped in wisdom. You've told us this is natural, that this is how young species learn, that some knowledge must be earned. Well, we've earned it. We've paid in 8,000 lives. She took another step, So I'm asking one final time, and I'm asking clearly, will you help us? Silence filled the chamber, not the absence of sound, but a pregnant pause as 73 civilizations consider the words of a species barely old enough to have learned their languages. Finally, the witness spoke. Its voice carried echoes of every possible response it might have given, creating a dissonant chorus of parallel decisions. No, your species must walk this path alone. Such is the nature of ascension. We cannot shield you from the trials that forge mature civilizations. This is not cruelty. It is necessity. In 10,000 years, should your species survive, you'll understand, and perhaps thank us for this refusal. 10,000 years? Elena whispered, then louder. 10,000 years? You want my species to wait 10,000 years to understand why you let 8,000 of us die. They may not be dead, the Quran representative interjected. You rush to conclusions based on limited perception. This is precisely why young species require guidance they are too inexperienced to appreciate. Elena looked up at the assembled races. Some watched with genuine sympathy, others with indifference, a few with barely concealed amusement at the young species' distress. She thought of Marcus Webb, her husband's friend, who had volunteered for Expedition 7, knowing he might not return. Of Admiral Chen's daughter, chief medical officer aboard Expedition 6, who had left behind 2 children. Of the 18-year-old engineering prodigy on Expedition 4, who had sent her mother a message every single day until she couldn't anymore. Then I suppose, Elena said quietly, humanity has learned its lesson. Good. The gardener pulsed with satisfied colors. This is growth. Painful, but necessary. No, Elena interrupted. You misunderstand. The lesson we've learned is that we're alone, that the Galactic Council, for all its age and wisdom, is ultimately useless to us, that we cannot rely on you, cannot trust you, and cannot waste any more time seeking your approval or assistance. The murmurs in the chamber shifted, surprise now, replacing the condescension. Ambassador Voss, your grief speaks, the Vash collective rumbled. We will forgive this. I'm not finished. Elena's voice cut through the chamber like a blade. Humanity hereby issues an ultimatum to the Galactic Council. You have 48 standard hours to provide any and all data you possess regarding the Theta Sector, including but not limited to spatial anomalies, energy signatures, historical incidents, and any intelligence regarding entities or phenomena in that region. You dare, began the Quran representative. If you choose not to comply, Elena continued, her voice rising, if you choose to maintain your position that this information must be earned, or that we are too young to understand it, then humanity will proceed independently. We will mount our own rescue operation, our own investigation, and we will do so with or without your blessing. And if our actions in pursuing this investigation cause diplomatic complications with any member species of this council, you have only yourselves to blame for refusing to help when we asked. The chamber erupted. Energy fields fluctuated wildly as species shouted over each other in dozens of languages, translated into a cacophony of indignation, outrage, and from a few, cautious respect. The architect's equations blazed brightly, cutting through the noise. Silence. The word carried weight that crushed all other sound. The chamber stilled. Ambassador Voss, are you truly attempting to threaten this council? To demand cooperation from civilizations that existed before your species drew its first breath? Not a threat, Elena said. An ultimatum. There's a difference. A threat implies we want something from you and are willing to harm you to get it. An ultimatum is simpler. We're telling you our intentions clearly, giving you the opportunity to avoid future conflict. And then we're going to do what we're going to do, regardless of your answer. Whether that creates problems for you depends entirely on your choice. Admiral Jiao stepped forward to stand beside Elena. Ambassador Voss speaks with the full backing of United Earthspace Command. We're not asking permission anymore. Dr. Morrison joined them. The scientific community supports this position. Our people are missing. We will find them. The witness's form flickered through 1,000 possible configurations. Your species is more volatile than our projections indicated. This ultimatum, You truly believe you can operate in the Theta Serpentis sector without our guidance? Without our protection? Protection? Elena laughed, and the sound was bitter enough to corrode starlight. You protected nothing. You've watched 8 of our expeditions vanish, and offered us philosophy in return. So, yes, we believe we can operate there without you. We believe we must, because the alternative is sitting here waiting for wisdom you'll never share while our people remain lost. The gardener's tendrils darkened. This is foolishness born of grief. You will lose more ships, more lives. Theta Serpentis will consume whatever you send, just as it has consumed what you already sent. Then at least we'll die trying. Elena shot back, which is apparently more than the great and ancient Galactic Council is willing to risk. She turned to leave, Zhao and Morrison following. 48 hours, Council members. After that, humanity proceeds alone. And whatever happens next, whatever diplomatic incidents occur, whatever ancient territories we trespass upon, whatever sleeping giants we wake, remember that you had the chance to prevent it and chose not to. Ambassador Voss, the architect, called out, its equations forming patterns of genuine curiosity. Why do you truly believe you can succeed where we counsel caution? Elena paused at the platform's edge. She looked back at the assembled might of the galaxy. Species who had built wonders humanity couldn't imagine, who have forgotten more than Earth had ever learned, who measured their existences in millions of years. Because, she said softly, you've forgotten what it means to fight when you have nothing left to lose. You've lived so long that you become cautious, conservative, unwilling to risk anything. But we're still young enough to be dangerous, still desperate enough to be reckless. And right now, that might be exactly what Theta Serpentis needs. She stepped onto the transport platform, and the 3 humans shimmered out of existence. The chamber remained silent for a long moment after they departed. Finally, a voice spoke from one of the lowest platforms, the Carey Confederation, a species only 3,000 years more advanced than humanity. They're going to do it. They're actually going to send another expedition. Of course they will, the Vash collective rumbled. They are young, foolish, and driven by emotion rather than logic. They will lose this expedition as they lost the others, and perhaps then they will learn humility. But the witnesses' form flickered uncertainly, cycling through possible futures. In most of them, humanity's next expedition vanished like all the others. But in a few, a disturbing few, something else happened. In those timelines, whatever slept in Theta Serpentis woke fully, and the galaxy burned. We may have made an error, the witness murmured, too quietly for most to hear. This species, they reminded us too much of ourselves at their age. We thought to protect them through neglect, to force them to grow slowly, safely. But species do not grow at the same pace. Some burn brighter and faster, and we may have just thrown fuel onto a fire we do not understand. The architect's equations rippled with an emotion it hadn't felt in 2 million years. Uncertainty. 48 hours, it calculated. What can happen in 48 hours? It would soon learn that when humanity decides to act, 48 hours is an eternity. Earth, Strategic Operations Center, Geneva. 6 hours after the ultimatum. The war room beneath Geneva had never been designed for what was about to become the command center for humanity's most desperate gambit. Admiral Zhao stood before a holographic display showing the Theta Serpentis sector, its swirling nebulae marking the graveyard of 8 expeditions. Around the table sat Earth's best and brightest, military commanders, theoretical physicists, xenobiologists, engineers who'd spent careers pushing the boundaries of what human technology could achieve. And at the head of the table, still wearing her formal diplomatic attire from the council meeting, sat Elena Voss. 42 hours remaining, she said quietly. What do we have? Dr. Sarah Chun, no relation to the admiral who disappeared on Expedition 6, though the coincidence of names added another layer of personal investment, pulled up her research data. I've analyzed every scrap of sense information from all 8 expeditions. The pattern is consistent. Ships reach a specific coordinate range, experience what Captain Webb described as reverse echo phenomena, and then nothing. No debris, no residual energy signatures, nothing. Could they have jumped? asked Commander Park, head of Fleet Tactical Operations. Emergency FTL to unknown coordinates? Negative. Jump drives leave traces, gravitational ripples, tachyon emissions. We found none of that. It's as if they simply ceased to exist in our reality. Elena leaned forward. What about Captain Webb's encounter? The voice, the presence. Do we have any reference for something like that? Dr. Morrison, who'd accompanied her to the council, spoke up. I've been cross-referencing human mythology, ancient texts, even folklore from a few alien species willing to share historical records. The description matches a pattern. Encounters with beings that exist outside normal space-time. The witness on the council is one, though far less powerful than what Webb described. Powerful enough to make ships disappear? Zhao asked. Powerful enough to make ships irrelevant, Morrison corrected. These entities don't destroy in the conventional sense. They judge, they measure, they decide if something is worthy of existing in their space. Webb said it found them insufficient. Elena said, her voice hollow. Not yet worthy. Return when worthy. What does that even mean? It means, said Dr. Chen slowly, working through the implications, that whatever is in Theta Serpentis is testing us. And we failed 8 times. The room fell silent. Then we need to pass the test, Elena said finally. With respect, Ambassador, Commander Park said carefully, we don't even know what the test is. How do you pass an examination when you don't know the subject? We adapt. We learn. We do what humans have always done when faced with the impossible. We cheat. Elena pulled up another display, showing ship schematics. We can't send another conventional expedition. That's insanity. But what if we send something unconventional? Define unconventional, Zhao said, though there was a spark of interest in her eyes. The Council expects us to fail because we're young, inexperienced, not worthy. They expect us to send more ships like the ones we've already lost. Elena's fingers danced across the controls, highlighting different technologies. What if we send something that doesn't fit their expectations? Something that demonstrates we've learned, that we've evolved. Dr. Chen's eyes widened. You want to send the Prometheus. The Prometheus isn't ready. Zhao objected immediately. It's experimental, untested in deep space. It's also the most advanced vessel humanity has ever built, Elena interrupted. Quantum entangled communication that can't be disrupted. Adaptive AI that can learn and respond in real time. Hull composition that exists partially in subspace. It's not a ship. It's humanity's thesis statement that we belong among the stars. Commander Park pulled up the Prometheus specifications. Even if we could get it operational in 42 hours, and that's a massive if, who would crew it? This would be a suicide mission. Whatever took 8 expeditions won't hesitate to take a 9th. Then we don't send a crew, Dr. Morrison said quietly. We send a volunteer. One person who understands the stakes and chooses to go anyway. All eyes turned to Elena. No, Zhao said flatly. Absolutely not. Elena, you're a diplomat, not a... I'm a widow, Elena said, her voice steady. My husband died in Expedition 3. I've spent 6 months begging the Council for help, being patronized and dismissed. I issued an ultimatum that may start a diplomatic crisis. And I understand something that no one else in this room does. She stood, facing each of them in turn. The entity in Theta Serpentis judges worthiness. It found our military expeditions insufficient. It found our scientific missions lacking. What if what it's looking for isn't technological advancement or military might? What if it's looking for understanding? For empathy? For someone willing to face it not as a threat to be overcome, but as a mystery to be understood. That's a hell of a gamble, Park said. Everything about this is a gamble, Elena replied. But I'm the one who challenged the Council. I'm the one who said humanity was done asking permission. I need to be the one who backs those words with action. Dr. Chung was already pulling up psychological profiles, running calculations. The Prometheus AI could be configured to respond to a single operator. With the quantum entanglement, Elena would have real-time communication with Earth. We'd know immediately if something went wrong. When something goes wrong, Zhao corrected bitterly. Maybe not, Morrison said, his academic mind working through possibilities. Captain Webb's crew survived their encounter. The entity judged them, found them insufficient, but sent them back. What if that's the key? What if it's not trying to destroy us, but to teach us, to force us to evolve? By taking 8,000 lives? Zhao's voice was sharp. By removing them from our reality until we're ready to get them back. Elena said, the realization dawning. The witness said they may not be dead. What if they're not? What if they're being held somewhere, waiting for humanity to prove itself worthy of retrieving them? The implications hung in the air like electricity before a storm. So we send the Prometheus, Commander Park said slowly, with Elena as sole crew, into the heart of whatever took our people. She makes contact with the entity, proves humanity's worth, and what? Asks politely for our people back. More or less, Elena said, except we don't ask. We demonstrate that we've learned, that we've grown, that we're not the same species that lost those first expeditions. And if you're wrong, Zhao asked quietly, if it takes you too like it took the others? Elena met her friend's eyes. Then at least I'll be with my husband again. And humanity will know beyond doubt that the Council's way, waiting, being cautious, earning approval, doesn't work. You'll have your answer, and you'll know what to do next. Which is... Elena smiled, and there was something fierce in it. Burn Theta Serpentis out of the galaxy, if you have to. Show the Council and that entity that humanity doesn't accept no for an answer. Show them that we're the species that flew to the moon because it was hard, that split the atom because we could, that reached the stars because they were there. Show them that we're dangerous, reckless, and absolutely unwilling to abandon our people. Zhao stared at her for a long moment, then turned to the assembled experts. The Prometheus. Can we have it ready in 42 hours? Dr. Chen nodded slowly. If we pull every available engineer, divert resources from everything else, and pray to whatever gods are listening, yes. Maybe. Probably. That's the most uncertain yes I've ever heard, Park muttered. Then we'd better get started, Elena said. She pulled up a communications interface. I need to record a message. If this works, if I bring our people home, the Council needs to see it. And if I don't come back, well, they need to understand what they've done by refusing to help. As the room exploded into activity, engineers being summoned, resources allocated, impossible timelines being drawn up, Admiral Zhao pulled Elena aside. You don't have to do this, she said quietly. There are other options, other approaches. No, there aren't, Elena interrupted gently. We both know that. The Council made sure of it when they refused to help. And Elizabeth, if I'm right, if our people are still alive somewhere beyond our reality, I can't not try to bring them home. Zhao nodded slowly, understanding in her eyes. Then bring them all back. And make damn sure the Council sees you do it. Elena smiled. That's the plan. 42 hours until humanity's deadline expired. 42 hours to prepare a ship that shouldn't exist for a mission that couldn't succeed. But as Admiral Zhao watched Elena Voss walk toward the engineering bay, she felt something she hadn't felt since the first expedition vanished. Hope. Humanity was done asking permission, done accepting limitations, done being told they weren't worthy. And the galaxy, ancient, cautious, and set in its ways, was about to learn what happened when you told humans they couldn't do something. The Council's chambers, 18 hours later. The witness materialized in the private sanctum it shared with the other members of the triumvirate, its form flickering more erratically than usual. The architect and the gardener were already present, their attention focused on a probability matrix suspended between them. They are moving faster than anticipated, the architect observed, its equations spiraling with concern. Resource allocation patterns suggest construction of a new vessel. Advanced specifications. Technologies we did not know they possessed. The gardener's tendrils pulsed with darker colors. 48 hours, we said. They have used only 6, and already they prepare another sacrifice. Do they not understand futility? The entity in Theta Serpentis does not accept brute force or technological escalation. No, the witness said quietly, its form resolving into a single possibility, one it had been avoiding looking at too closely. This is different. Observe. The probability matrix shifted, showing Earth's frantic preparations. Engineers working around the clock. A single ship, sleek and impossible, taking shape in ways that violated known physics. And at the center of it all, one human woman preparing to face the void alone. She goes willingly. The architect's equations ripple with something approaching respect. No crew, no military escort. One individual choosing to face judgment. The gardener's tendrils writhed. Foolishness. The entity has rejected 8 expeditions. What makes this human believe she will succeed where thousands failed? Because she is not trying to succeed, the witness said, cycling through probabilities, seeing the pattern humanity had woven. She is trying to understand, to communicate, to offer herself as, what is a human term? A bridge between us and them. The architect's equations froze, recalculating. We may have miscalculated. Severely. What do you mean? The gardener asked. The entity judges worthiness based on consciousness evolution, not technological achievement. We assumed humanity was centuries from understanding this principle. But this woman, Elena Voss, she grasped it intuitively, without our guidance, without our permission. The witness's form flickered through 1,000 possible outcomes. In most, Elena Voss vanished like the others. But in a growing number of timelines that were becoming more probable with each passing hour, something else happened. She made contact, true contact, and the entity responded. If she succeeds, the gardener said slowly, if she brings back those we assumed lost, then the balance shifts, the architect finished. Humanity will have accomplished in weeks what took most species millennia. They will have proven themselves worthy not by following our path, but by forging their own. The witness looked at its ancient companions. And we will have to acknowledge that perhaps, just perhaps, the age of the elder race's supremacy is ending. Silence filled the sanctum. Then the gardener spoke, its voice carrying the weight of epics. Should we warn them? Tell them what they face? No, the architect said. They issued an ultimatum. They chose their path. All we can do now is watch and see if humanity's greatest strength, their refusal to accept the impossible, is enough. The witness continued cycling through probabilities, watching the timelines branch and converge. In 30 hours, Elena Voss would enter Theta Serpentis, and the galaxy would discover whether humanity's defiance was courage or catastrophic hubris. I have not felt uncertainty in 2 million years, the witness admitted. I find it unsettling. Welcome, the architect replied, its equations tinged with irony, to what the young species experience every day. Perhaps that is why they move so fast. They have no time for certainty. Below them, across thousands of light years, humanity raced against an impossible deadline, building a ship that shouldn't exist, preparing for a mission that couldn't succeed. And in the heart of Theta Serpentis, something ancient stirred, sensing the approach of something new, something worthy of attention. The council's chambers, 18 hours later. The witness materialized in the private sanctum it shared with the other members of the triumvirate, its form flickering more erratically than usual. The architect and the gardener were already present, their attention focused on a probability matrix suspended between them. They are moving faster than anticipated, the architect observed, its equations spiraling with concern. Resource allocation patterns suggest construction of a new vessel, advanced specifications, technologies we did not know they possessed. The gardener's tendrils pulsed with darker colors. 48 hours, we said. They have used only 6, and already they prepare another sacrifice. Do they not understand futility? The entity in Theta Serpentis does not accept brute force or technological escalation. No, the witness said quietly, its form resolving into a single possibility, one it had been avoiding looking at too closely. This is different. Observe. The probability matrix shifted, showing Earth's frantic preparations. Engineers working around the clock. A single ship, sleek and impossible, taking shape in ways that violated known physics. And at the center of it all, one human woman preparing to face the void alone. She goes willingly. The architect's equations ripple with something approaching respect. No crew, No military escort. One individual choosing to face judgment. The gardener's tendrils writhed. Foolishness. The entity has rejected 8 expeditions. What makes this human believe she will succeed where thousands failed? Because she is not trying to succeed, the witness said, cycling through probabilities, seeing the pattern humanity had woven. She is trying to understand, to communicate, to offer herself as, what is a human term? A bridge between us and them. The architect equations froze, recalculating. We may have miscalculated. Severely. What do you mean? The gardener asked. The entity judges worthiness based on consciousness evolution, not technological achievement. We assumed humanity was centuries from understanding this principle. But this woman, Elena Voss, she grasped it intuitively, without our guidance, without our permission. The witness's form flickered through 1,000 possible outcomes. In most, Elena Voss vanished like the others. But in a growing number of timelines that were becoming more probable with each passing hour, something else happened. She made contact, true contact, and the entity responded. If she succeeds, the gardener said slowly, if she brings back those we assumed lost, then the balance shifts, the architect finished. Humanity will have accomplished in weeks what took most species millennia. They will have proven themselves worthy not by following our path, but by forging their own. The witness looked at its ancient companions, and we will have to acknowledge that perhaps, just perhaps, the age of the elder race's supremacy is ending. Silence filled the sanctum. Then the gardener spoke, its voice carrying the weight of epics. Should we warn them? Tell them what they face? No, the architect said. They issued an ultimatum. They chose their path. All we can do now is watch and see if humanity's greatest strength, their refusal to accept the impossible, is enough. The witness continued cycling through probabilities, watching the timelines branch and converge. In 30 hours, Elena Voss would enter Theta Serpentis, and the galaxy would discover whether humanity's defiance was courage or catastrophic hubris. I have not felt uncertainty in 2 million years, the witness admitted. I find it unsettling. Welcome, the architect replied, its equations tinged with irony, to what the young species experience every day. Perhaps that is why they move so fast. They have no time for certainty. Below them, across thousands of light years, humanity raced against an impossible deadline, building a ship that shouldn't exist, preparing for a mission that couldn't succeed. And in the heart of Theta Serpentis, something ancient stirred, sensing the approach of something new, something worthy of attention.